Is it Mueller?
Yes.
I'm David Lee. I'm the court reporter.
Good to see you again, David. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good, Mr. Mueller. How are you?
Good, good.
You expect this to be very long?
Hour.
All right.
I think right now I've got 11 people signed up. So even giving 5 minutes, we should be able to kind of wrap it up in an hour. And Isaac, is anybody reporting having trouble connecting?
Not that I am aware of. We still don't have everyone who's signed up here, but we've still got another minute.
Yeah, I'm noticing the participant list is significantly smaller.
Yeah, and sometimes, like we've got a few people signed up for, say, New Mexico Gas Company, and a few people signed up for Can-Am. Sometimes they don't know who the one commenter is going to be until the very last minute. So
Right.
not everyone on the list. There are some people on the list who might decide not to come. I think we should give it a minute or two, just in case Jonas.
Yeah, there's a couple other parties that I've got on the list that I want to see if they appear or not, because that'll kind of affect the order I've got outlined right now. There we go. Justin, Anastasia, Lisa. All right, looking at what I see, David, I'm just going to do some housekeeping real quick, and I'll let you know when I officially want to go on the record.
Okie doke.
Oh, there we go. Now we got a commissioner. All right. I think Isaac, it looks like we have at least one party for each entity that I see on the list. So I think I'll just do my housekeeping. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hans Mueller. I'm with the Office of General Counsel for the PRC. I'll be presiding over the hearing today for a public comment hearing regarding the Energy Efficiency Act. Just to let everyone know kind of the housekeeping for today, I have an order of participants, 11 people signed up in total. So even allowing 5 minutes, I think we'll be able to get through for each person. We'll be able to get through this pretty efficiently. I would ask that you keep yourself on mute until I call your name to participate. and then I'll ask you to unmute yourself at that time. And like I said, I'll probably give everyone 5 minutes for starters. If you could keep your comments to that time, I will allow any essentially response comments once we've got through the list, if you're so inclined. To the extent that any new comment you make today is not captured in written comments, if you are adding something basically that hasn't been previously mentioned in what has been filed to date, if you could please mention that to me. Isaac, our paralegal for OGC, is on the call, and he'll be able to screen share the red line that was shared at the time of the notice of proposed rulemaking. So that has the original red lines. That has not been updated yet with proposed red lines from comments. But if you want to refer to a specific section and have that up on the screen, Isaac will be allowed. Isaac has that ready, so we can pull it up so everyone can follow along. But if you're proposing something new that hasn't been written, just give me a heads up on that so I can note it when I'm making my notes here that you're introducing something new. My batting order essentially for today is I want to hear from the coalition first. So Justin Brandt, you'll be up to bat first, just as a warning here. After that, I want to hear from the city of Las Cruces. And then we'll get into the individual companies going in order, SPS, EPE, New Mexico Gas Company, and PNM. So that'll kind of be our order for today. And I think that'll allow everyone to have an efficient version of comments today. So with that, David, let's go on the record. And we are here today on June 21st, 2021 for the public comment hearing for case number 19-168-UT in the matter of the petition to amend the Energy Efficiency Rule 17.7.2 NMAC. My name is Hans Muller. I am with the Office of General Counsel for the PRC, and I will be presiding over the hearing today. The first commenter that has signed up is Justin Brandt with the Coalition for Clean and Affordable Energy. Justin, go ahead and unmute yourself and present your commentary, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Justin Brandt. I'm director of the utility program at the Southwest Energy Efficiency Project, and I'm speaking today on behalf of the Coalition for Clean Affordable Energy, or CCAE. I won't repeat CCAE's written comments that have already been submitted in this proceeding. Instead, I want to respond to a limited number of issues raised in the response comments from other parties.
Okay.
I guess first and foremost, CCAE continues to request that the Commission consider all changes to the EUEA as part of this current rulemaking, and not just those required to incorporate the 2019 changes in the statute. This rulemaking has been ongoing for almost 2 years at this point, and the changes outside of those required to incorporate the modification to the EUEA are relatively small. So given how time consuming and infrequent rulemakings are, doesn't make sense to kick the can down the road any farther. Rather, it would be the best use of the Commission's time and resources, as well as the time and resources of stakeholders, to address all the recommended changes in the current proceeding. I guess additionally, the 2019 legislation made fairly substantial changes to the EUEA, in our opinion, and we believe these major changes sort of provide a great opportunity for the Commission to reconsider the rules governing energy efficiency planning in New Mexico. So given all of this, CCA supports all the changes to the EUEA we have proposed, including those submitted earlier in this rulemaking before the current round of comments. I guess, so in addition to that, overarching point, wanted to respond to a limited number of other issues raised by parties. I guess first, staff in this proceeding stated in their response comments that CCAE's proposal to allow performance incentives above the utility weighted average cost of capital times their energy savings is beyond the scope of changes necessary to maintain the consistency between the rules and the text of the EUEA. I guess this is one instance where CCAE believes the current rules are not consistent with the language of the
I'm sorry, Mr. Brandt, can you start that comment again and slow down a little bit?
Sure, sorry about that. This is one instance where CCAE believes the current rules are not consistent with the language of the EUEA. The EUEA explicitly states that the Commission shall provide public utilities an opportunity to earn a profit on cost-effective energy efficiency and load management, resource development that, with satisfactory performance, is financially more attractive to the utility than supply-side resources. Limiting the amount of a performance incentive to the weighted average cost of capital explicitly violates the statute. The language proposed by CCAE in our comments removes this inconsistency, while still allowing the Commission the discretion to set performance incentives at an appropriate level. It does not mandate anything. I guess next in our comments, CCAE proposed adding a rule section to allow utilities discretion to modify, measure, and incentive levels within programs during the 3-year planning term, assuming a portfolio of programs remain cost-effective under the utility cost test. NM area generally supported CCAE's recommendations, but added a few proposed additions of their own in response comments. The major addition proposed by NM area requires utilities to submit a compliance filing with the Commission and stakeholders to notify them of any change. CCAE supports this addition generally. However, NM area also added language that approved program spending must not increase as the result of any changes made by a utility. CCAE opposes this addition. Utilities should have discretion to move money between programs during plan implementation. Some programs will inevitably overperform while others will underperform. Requiring that program spending does not increase within a plan year goes against the type of flexibility that we are recommending. Therefore, CCAE requests that the Commission does not accept the proposed addition from NM area by removing their added language in 2 places within Rule 17.7.2.12b. That's only related to not increasing program spending. And then I guess finally, PNM, EP, and other parties are requested that the Commission add back language regarding the removal of regulatory disincentives that were removed in the proposed rulemaking from the current rule. In its response, comments, staff states that the Commission is currently considering threshold legal arguments around decoupling or the removal of regulatory disincentives in another proceeding, in that adding this language back into the current rulemaking would sort of needlessly delay the rulemaking process. Again, CCA disagrees here with staff. The language proposed by the utilities is consistent with the statute. It doesn't go farther than that, and we don't believe it will be impacted by the outcome of case number 20-00212 UT. Which is addressing more detailed policy questions. So CCA requests that the Commission include the language proposed by PNM and EPE in the current rulemaking to ensure that the rules are consistent with the language of the statute. That's all I have today. Appreciate the time of the Commission, and certainly available for follow-up or any questions that folks might have.
Justin, just one quick question. What do you have the section number of your last comment that you were agreeing with?
I can bring
if you
it
don't,
up.
I can look it up.
I don't have it off the top of my head. I could bring it up and get back to you in a couple of minutes or after the next commenter, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, or if you can even message it to me.
Okay. let's see. I can probably get it right now.
Okay, that's fine. And while he's doing that, I'll let everyone know that I am not a 100% stickler when it comes to the 5-minute rule. Don't feel worried that my my little timer is going to go off and I'm going to cut you off wherever you are. You know, we don't have a whole lot of speakers today, so and to make Mr. Lee's life easier, don't feel that you have to try to jam a 10-minute talk into 5 minutes. I will allow, I am not the type to cut someone off. So if it goes over by a couple of minutes, don't sweat it.
So it looks like the correct section was up on the screen briefly. It's 17.7.2.17.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you for your comments today.
Thank you.
And next, I will go to the city of Las Cruces. Anastasia Stevens, if you could unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Mr. Muller, I was not anticipating issuing comments at all. I certainly didn't expect to go near the head of the list. So I will keep it short. And with me also is Lisa LaRock, the city's sustainability director. One of her functions is to support energy efficiency, both by the utilities and by the city. So if anybody has factual questions, I hope that during the course of this meeting, they can be directed at Lisa, because I think she's probably got a perspective on it that nobody else in the room, the Zoom room, has. So with that, I'd like to say that the city last filed comments on February 28th before the commission, before the commission issued its rulemaking. And I don't see Brad Borman on this list here, but this is he thinks that the city never agrees with him. But this is a case in which the city agrees pretty much up and down the line with staff that the rulemaking changes should be kept to minimum. It's been actually more than 2 years since CCAE filed their petition on June the 10th, 2019, and we're not there yet. Raising new issues, especially the question of how to do decoupling, or whether to change the current cap on incentives that, as staff pointed out, predates Supreme Court rulings, would just turn this case into an endless, another 2 years of endless cycles. If those issues are to be addressed, they should be addressed at an appropriate time through a workshop process. And I understand, I'm not in that case, but I understand from staff's comments that this is probably not the appropriate time because of a pending P&M case that relates to those concerns. So that's pretty much it. We want the rules simple, and as a general principle, the city also agrees with staff that reproducing statutory language in a rule is just generally not a good policy. If there were a need to elaborate on a statutory provision, either through definitions or through details or through procedures, that would be one thing, but that's not really what's being proposed in this case. So it's just doesn't seem necessary. However, if incentives if the issue of incentives is to be addressed, we agree with staff that, and with NM area, that quoting the statute verbatim is the only appropriate thing to do based on the state of this record and the state of progress around the company, around the world. I would add one thing that I would like to say does go outside of our previous comments, and that's the issue of the life safety code violations. that came up in the commission's rule, and the city has not filed written comments since then. Our comment is that while we respect several of the utilities position that their personnel are not trained and qualified to point out life safety code violations, we do think that any utility, including EPE, our utility, would be remiss in not collecting helpful information about the needs of low-income households, including evident life safety code violations. At minimum, that information, the utilities or whoever their third-party providers are, should not just close their eyes and move forward or walk out of that particular household and say, oops, got bad problems here, we're going to take you off our list. They have a responsibility as good citizens, as corporate citizens, as municipal citizens, as county citizens, to alert the appropriate authorities to something that is evident and clear for the safety of their customers and our residents. And with that, I thank you for hearing us, and I apologize for not having filed written comments since the rule was filed. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for participating today. Lisa, did you want to add anything to Anastasia's comments?
Hello, this is Lisa LaRock for the record. No, thank you. I think that Anastasia Stevens covered it well. I feel that there's a need for better data available for all service providers to be able to understand the breadth and depth of the issues that we're facing, especially in the low-income communities, and don't feel that that data has been made available, if it even exists, and so that is and how we respond to it. So I appreciate Ms. Stevens's comments. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for participating today. And next on my list is Susan Breimer with SPS Excel. Susan, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, we pretty much stand by the comments that we filed on the NOPR, both the initial ones on May 21st and the reply comments on June 4th.
Okay.
We really have nothing new to say at this time, although I have to say in general, I do agree with what Mr. Brandt said with CCAE regarding those 3 issues that he responded to that other parties had brought up. And that we also have Jeremy Lovelady on the phone with us. Jeremy is intimately familiar with the nuts and bolts of our EE programs and also can offer perspective on policy as well. So Jeremy, do you have anything to add at this time?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Thank you for participating today. Next, let's move on to EPE. Jordan Kessler, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Great, thanks. Thanks for the opportunity to participate this afternoon and for listening to our comments. My name is Jordan Kessler. I'm an attorney on behalf of El Paso Electric. And really, as SPS did, we're here to support and answer questions related to the comments that were already filed and the response comments that we also filed. I don't have anything new to say. To underscore what we submitted previously, EPE joined CCAE in believing that the joint comments that were previously filed by a number of parties should be considered in this case. We understand that the commission and the NOPR limited the scope of this hearing and understand that. So based on the language of the proposed rule as it stands, we believe that the life safety code violation provision, which is 17.729, should be removed, given that the commission doesn't have statutory authority to address that particular provision. As the city addressed in their comments, EP does not believe that our employees currently have the type of licensure, training, expertise to be able to handle this type of issue. And again, we don't believe that there's statutory authority supporting the rule provision. The second issue that EP commented on was including information regarding decoupling. Again, we proposed fairly straightforward language related to the statute. The statute was extensively amended, and we believe that that should be included in a rule that comes out of the commission. So thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for participating. Next on my list, I have New Mexico Gas Company.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. This is Brian Haverly. I'm an attorney on behalf of New Mexico Gas Company. With me today is Steve Casey and Drew Jones, both employees of New Mexico Gas Company in their energy efficiency department. Our comments are going to track exactly what we said in our written comments. First, we don't believe that the life safety code violations are necessary. That language in 17.7.2.9 B3 NMAC are necessary to implement the energy efficiency requirements under the Efficient Use of Energy Act. Like El Paso and SPS and PNM have said in their written comments, the simple fact is our folks are not necessarily trained to look for various violations, while ours might have some ideas on a few things. They definitely have not gone through code inspection for everything, and to say that we have an obligation to look for these things is going to put a strain on our energy efficiency group in terms of getting properly certified folks to go out and do energy efficiency tasks, and possibly would increase the cost thereof because we would have to have highly qualified and trained individuals that would need to be able to look through the house and see what was going on in terms of code violations. So we have issues. We think that's not necessary and would potentially cause certain programs to not necessarily work well. The other comment that we have is on the disincentive language 17.7.2.17 NMAC. We, like others, believe that language is, or language regarding that issue is necessary. The legislature has spoken. They've said that this is something that needs to be done. Right now, it's being left up to the utilities to come in an ad hoc fashion to propose decoupling mechanisms, and we think that it's better left to have a full group of stakeholders, including all the utilities and all interested parties, to come in a workshop and submit comments as to what the commission should do, rather than on a case-by-case basis. I know that PNM does have, I believe, a case pending where there's a scope question, but we don't think that should control everything regarding the disincentive language, and that it would be helpful for the utilities and stakeholders to know exactly what the utilities should be doing, at least in filing, and try to come up with other clarity regarding those legislative mandates from the legislature. And that's all I have. Steve, do you have any additional comments you would like to make?
No, not at this time, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller.
Thank you. Does that conclude NM Gas? Nothing from Mr. Jones or?
No, I don't have anything either.
Okay. Thank you.
It does conclude. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, and now we will move along to PNM. Leslie, I see you there, and I also have two other people signed up. So Leslie, go ahead.
Sure, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leslie Padilla, representing Public Service Company of New Mexico. With me today is Steve Schwebke, who is a regulatory case manager, works on all of PNM's energy efficiency cases, and I believe Sharon James is here with us today, sitting in for Zach Johnson. Sharon is on the energy efficiency team as well at PNM, works on our energy efficiency cases. PNM filed the most recent set of comments and response comments jointly with EPE. So I think as to those comments, I will simply note that I do support what Ms. Kessler stated earlier today. I would just add, and then as to what Mr. Haverly from the gas company just said about both the life safety code violation provision and in PNM's view, the need to have some language in the rule about removal of regulatory disincentives. We would agree with Mr. Haverly on both of those points. I would briefly respond to Ms. Stevens from City of Las Cruces, her remarks on the life safety code violation language. Of course, PNM wants to be a good citizen. I think and our employees want to be good citizens as well. But the life safety code violation provision that would go into this rule really goes beyond that, because it is actually speaking specifically to code violations, not just alarming things someone might see when visiting, someone's home, but specific code violations, which I would also note are not defined in the proposed rule. So PNM does have considerable concern about that provision, and adding it to this rule when the statutory basis is unclear or absent is a concern. I also just wanted to briefly respond to Mr. Brandt's comments. In the joint response comments that EPE and PNM filed, we agreed with some of CCAE's proposals. We did not agree with the proposal related to removing caps on performance incentives. So that's all I have today, and Mr. Schwebke and Ms. James are available for questions as well if anyone has any specific questions on PNM's energy efficiency program management. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Leslie. I have no other questions for Mr. Schwebke or Ms. James at this moment. So does that conclude PNM's comments, Leslie?
It does. Thank you, Mr. Mueller.
Okay, thank you. All right. That is the end of the list that I was given of people who signed up for comment today. Is there anyone? I don't see any names that are strange to me on the participant list right now, but just in case, is there anyone on here that feels that they should have been given an opportunity to comment but did not? Is there any, okay, I'm hearing nobody. We have finished the first round of commentary. Is there anyone that wishes to make any response comments to comments that were said during the first round of commentary? You can either unmute yourself or raise your hand if you know how to use the little raise hand indicator.
Mr. Mueller, this is Anastasia Stevens, who doesn't know how to use the raise hand, but I did manage to unmute myself. If I could have just a moment to respond to Ms. Padilla.
Sure.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that if PNM misunderstood, the city is not saying that utilities should be required to train and to have an obligation under the rules to report. We're asking that they do the decent thing and notify the appropriate authorities when they see a dangerous situation that's evident. That's all we're asking here, not to put it in the rule. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing anybody else either raise their hand or unmute themselves for additional comments at this time. So I appreciate everybody participating today. Thank you for making it very efficient. At this time, I'll probably be getting together a draft to prepare with incorporating all your proposed comments and responses, and hope to get this before the commissioners. Let me see. Commissioner Maestas, are you still available?
Looks like he disconnected.
Okay, thank you, Isaac. On behalf of the commissioners and the Office of General Counsel, I appreciate everyone taking the time today to make your commentary. And we will be proceeding with this rulemaking, taking all your comments into note. And hopefully we'll be able to put a proposed rule shortly. So thank you everyone for participating. Mr. Lee, do you have any other questions for the record?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, everybody. This public comment hearing is adjourned.
Thank you.